Hello everyone, and welcome to our project Death on a Paper. My name is Ichigonya, and this is the very first video on the series called Art and Coffee, where I will be discussing anything art related, ranging from self-employment to freedom of artistic expression. The topic for today's discussion is two-part. First, the always relevant question of can you even make it as a self-taught artist in the industry without a professional degree in arts? And second, a quick look at the kind of journey I have had as a traditional illustrator who's been making art for over 2 decades at this point. I personally always like to have a cup of coffee with me when I'm working, so I hope you'll get something nice for yourself to drink while we dive into today's video. First, before we start, let me say a few words about today's piece. This illustration is called Principle, and it's for an upcoming collection titled Neglect. I was inspired by a variation of comments that I got on one of my reels insinuating that all you have to do in order to make the bullying stop is just to talk to the adults who are in charge. I did just that as a kid, but lo and behold, it didn't do anything for me, hence this illustration. I also wanted to have something to color this time as we're talking about art, and people have been asking me about the materials and techniques I use for my works, so here you can see the coloring process in its entirety. The markers I use are Ecoline and Faber-Castell markers, but I'm probably going to be making a video introducing my art supplies more thoroughly in the future. Please write down your opinions of the illustration in the comments down below. I would love to know your opinions, whether it made you feel some type of way. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's talk a bit about being a self-taught artist and my personal artistic journey. Let's get one thing straight, which is not me, obviously. I don't have a degree in fine arts, but I have been to university. I'm a massive advocate for education of all kinds. My parents were both teachers and highly academic, so that kind of runs in my family. When I was in uni, I was studying general literature and linguistics, Finnish and Swedish to be exact. My plan was to graduate and become either a literature translator or a teacher, but those goals are no longer present in my life. With that being said, I would still like to get my degrees finished if my health ever allows me to, but that's neither here nor there. In any case, I appreciate higher education a lot, and especially in a country like Finland, getting a uni degree is very crucial, and if you have the chance to take that route, please do. A degree is only beneficial, and that rings true for every field out there. Arts are not an exception. So, if you have the means to go to art school and get a professional degree, you should definitely do that. But that is not to say that having a degree in fine arts is necessary. As much as you would benefit from having a degree, you're still able to perform well as an artist if you don't have one. I'm working as an illustrator without a degree, and in my personal experience, it just requires a lot of discipline, dedication, and determination. If you truly want to have art as your profession without getting a degree, my advice is to have a clear vision and concrete goals you are willing to dedicate your time and energy into achieving. Once you know what you want from your artistic career, you should set goals and aspirations for yourself to reach, to work toward. That will help keep you motivated, because when you have something tangible to work for example, a membership in a local art association or an independent expo at a small gallery, you feel like you have a purpose and the drive to keep working stays high. If you don't have those set in goals, working might seem purposeless and aimless, which is one of the reasons artists struggle with motivation and work morale. If you can't see yourself reach any achievement you've set for yourself, you might start to question whether working as an artist is ever going to give you anything back as a reward, and whether you actually want to pursue arts as a career. All of this comes back to the concepts of determination and dedication. When you dedicate enough of your time and energy into working toward a set goal with a determined mindset, you will see results for yourself. Without these factors, it's pretty much impossible for you to achieve any success as an artist. But then again, that's true for a lot of fields, especially those that are heavy on self-employment. Now, before we head off to the next topic, I want to say a few things about those goals. The art community, as of right now, seems to be very focused on two different ways of turning art into your profession. The first one is selling your already existing art as products, and the second one is commissions and being hired by a third party working on a commission fee. I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen the reels and other videos on Instagram and many other social media platforms. The videos of professional artists giving out tips to grow your art account and ways to make money off of your art. Those videos are very informative and beneficial for the most part, but there's a few issues I have with them, and I don't think I'm alone in that. See, some of those videos are so heavily focused on making sales and being hired by third-party commissioners to work on their assigned products that the artists in question literally discourage you from making connections with other artists because they are your competitors in the same field. This is absolutely bonkers to me, and it's just another reflection of capitalism and consumerism taking over the world of arts, commercializing art to the point that now a bunch of artists believe that the only real way of being a professional artist is selling. What I want you to know is that there are other ways of making it in the field of arts. And there is nothing wrong with making connections with other artists and building a community with them. In fact, I would encourage all artists to do that because what we all have in common is that we love everything art related and want to see artists being taken seriously as workers in the field of culture. I don't see other artists as my competitors. I see them as colleagues, as friends. And if I had all the money in the world, trust me, I would buy literally everything y'all have up on your stores for sale. How does all of this relate back to the goals we were just talking about then? Well, I would like to propose an alternative to these extremely capitalist and consumerist ideas of how to become a professional artist. If you have a story to tell, if you have creative wisdom and want other people to see what you have come up with, believe in that story. Too often we think of illustration as an art form that only has commercial value and cannot be utilized to tell stories or portray otherwise important topics in visual form. It is true that a good chunk of illustrators work for someone else who has the story they want to tell, and then the illustrator just puts their ideas onto the paper and gets paid for that. But that's not the only way to go about things. If you, as a visual artist, have a creative story you want to tell to the world, work toward that goal. So instead of focusing solely on sales and commissions, try having milestones that help you reach a bigger audience. For myself, I am currently working on getting acknowledged by my local artist association so that I can become an official member and be recognized as a professional artist in my own local community. Anything that will help you reach a bigger audience. Those are all fantastic goals. Having art as a job should not just be about sales because, at least in my opinion, art is inherently anti-capitalist. But that's a topic for another video. Along with dedication and determination, to make it as a self-taught artist, having discipline is extremely important. Discipline here means holding yourself accountable for your work and the goals you set for yourself. When you are in college or university, you are mandated to complete tasks and assignments in certain timeframes, otherwise you will fail your classes. When you don't have a curriculum to follow, it is easy to slack off and think, I can do this tomorrow. It doesn't really matter if I do it today or not. When you constantly push off your deadlines, you start to teach yourself that this is not really your job, something that matters enough for you to hold on to those goals and achievements. This kind of mindset is detrimental to your work morale. It will make it harder for you to keep working independently. Take responsibility of your work. Hold yourself accountable for the things you have promised to complete. That way, you will meet those goals and keep yourself motivated to continue working toward that dream of becoming a professional artist. Art school helps its students with a discipline by giving them a schedule, a curriculum to follow. When you are on your own, you're responsible for that part of the job as well. When it comes to discipline, I know that I'm in a very fortunate situation because I've always had high standards for myself and the work I do. I hold on to the deadlines and try my absolute hardest to meet them because I have a high work morale as it is. That's why I haven't necessarily had to discipline myself as much, but something that I do to help with meeting my goals is keeping digital to-do lists. Whenever I finished an illustration or a social media post in time, the satisfaction of ticking it off the list is a great reward, no matter how small it might seem to outsiders. Rewards in general are extremely useful in holding yourself accountable. Every time you meet a deadline or finish a project you've set for yourself, give yourself something nice for it. Take yourself out on a date, go to a cute cafe, or eat out in a fancy restaurant. Or, if you're low on money, like myself, here's something you can do on a small budget. Take a nice warm shower, really soak in the warmth of the water, and afterwards you can use a fragranced body lotion or hand cream to make your skin super soft. Have a tiny coffee moment for yourself at home. Use your favorite coffee mug, have a little sweet pastry or other treat with the coffee, maybe even have some pretty napkins to make the occasion fancier, and take off days. For the love of God, days that you don't even think about work. Let yourself rest and relax. You deserve it after working so hard to meet your goals. These are all things that I have learned in DBT, by the way. God, I love therapy. Now, what about me? What does my artistic journey look like? If I wanted to give you an exhaustive description of everything that I have gotten myself into, I would be here all day. I'll try to pick out the most important parts of my story instead, those that might be of aid for any one of you who is probably thinking about making art their profession. I have walked hand in hand with visual arts since I was able to hold a pen in my hand. The earliest drawing I've made that has been archived is from the year 2001, when I was a 1-year-old baby. Ever since then, I have been making art, never stopping. My father always likes to remind me of that one moment when I, at 2 years old, was messing around with some watercolors, splashing them onto the paper, and I turned to look at my dad with the brush still in my hand, and I said, "Minä olen ihan oikea taiteilija." That's in Finnish, I am a real artist. For years, I've found this story extremely embarrassing because no, I wasn't, and I was never going to be one, a real artist, that is. But now I think about that story a lot, how my dad recites it to me because I was too young to remember it myself, and I think about it fondly. Little me knew so much more than I ever did. Apart from just drawing on my own, I've taken a lot of voluntary art classes. For 7 years, I took art classes at the local community college, or what we call them in Finland, kansanopisto, working along with some of the most famous artists of my county. These classes were charged, and they weren't all that cheap either. We did a whole bunch of shit there over the years, and I learned a lot of the basics of art. all down to techniques and materials and art theory. I'm forever grateful for the artists who taught me in those classes, especially this one lady that I still see very frequently. She encouraged me to keep doing what I love the most because she was able to see, even back then, over 10 years ago, that I would do great things as an illustrator if I just kept drawing. I owe a lot to her, honestly. Love you, Hannele. I think this is as good of a spot as any to address the elephant in the room. Anime. I was introduced to anime and manga by a then friend of mine in 2008. My life was forever changed at that moment, especially my artistic journey. Anime and manga are the reason I'm an illustrator today. Up until that point, I had been mainly drawing and painting pictures of animals, which were literally just kitties, let's be real here. But ANIMANGA made me want to learn how to draw human beings. My entire childhood was colored with the bright shades of Mahou Shoujo anime, and I even experienced my lesbian awakening through anime. Turns out that drawing a whole bunch of pretty anime girls 24/7 and plastering those drawings onto the walls of your room is not very heterosexual behavior. This was news to me. Anyways, anime is a very controversial topic in the art community for a variety of reasons, and because I have a very strong and personal connection with this form of media, I'm probably going to be talking about it a lot on this channel. I feel like a lot of the negative discourse surrounding ANIMANGA is tainted with the veil of racism, at least when talking about how art teachers tend to react to their students drawing in anime style, whatever that actually means. Because I don't know if you know this, but anime is not a genre of animation. It's its own media type, and it has thousands of different styles to it, just like Western animation does. The fact that this gets overlooked so very often is just one proof of the bias that Western art teachers have against art that's either originated or inspired by something else than, well, Western arts. This was the case for me and my art teachers too. That one lady I mentioned earlier, she was the only teacher who actually encouraged me to keep drawing those pretty anime girls. She told me that I had a clear creative vision and that she could see that this was really my thing, and she wanted me to keep drawing. Every other art teacher that I ever had encouraged me to get rid of the anime, so to speak. And I did, actually, for a few years. I've worked with realism, photorealism, Western cartoon styles, and semi-realism. I have tried many other things too. ANIMANGA is not the only kind of art I'm familiar with, not by a long shot. But for some reason, after years of not really drawing in that way, when I sat down by the kitchen table at my dad's a couple of years ago, when my life went to shit, basically, and I opened up a blank page in my sketchbook, I just went, let's just draw whatever. This anime girl appeared in front of me. It feels good to be back to my roots. In future videos, I'll be introducing you guys to the most influential artists, especially mangaka, that I found inspiration in over the years. There are a lot of them, but a selected few illustrators are particularly important to me, so I'll definitely go over them and their art at the very least. Okay, that's it for today's video. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Art and Coffee. Please let me know what you think of the series, what you would like to hear me talk about in the future in this series, and if you have any questions regarding my tips on making it as a self-taught artist, or like, do you want to know more about my journey as an illustrator? Any and all questions are welcome. Just leave them down in the comments below I will read all of them and potentially reply to all of them as well, I promise. I hope to see you guys very soon in my next video. My name is Ichigonia, and this has been our project Death on a Paper.